Getting the Gold Apocalypse trophy is one of the toughest challenges that you can do in Phasmophobia, so I decided to play as many gold trophy games as possible so I could try to give you some of the best, most up-to-date tips to easily get that gold trophy. First, let's go over exactly what the Gold Apocalypse challenge is. So first, you're going to need to make sure that you have custom difficulty unlocked. If you do, create a custom difficulty. You can go to presets and select Apocalypse 3. This is going to set the multiplier at 15 times. Now, we can change some of these settings later, which I will be talking about later on in the video. But to get the gold trophy itself, you actually have to do these specific things. You have to play single player. It has to be done on Sunny Meadows Full. You have to get the ghost right, get all the objectives, and get the ghost photo. The ghost photo can be any stars. It doesn't have to be 3 stars. It can be 1 star or 2 star. It just has to count as a ghost photo. Now, this is absolutely important. Please listen to me. You do not need to get the bone. You do not need to get a perfect game. Do not worry about that. Don't worry about filling up your ghost book with photos. Don't worry about finding the bone. If you happen to find it, great. If you want to try to get a perfect game, you can, but it's not necessary, so don't waste time and possibly get killed trying to find the bone when you don't even need to. Tip number 1 is that I'm going to recommend that you at least be level 72 before even trying this challenge. That's because that unlocks the tier 3 paramic, which is one of the best items in the game and the item that you're going to be using the most in this challenge. Tier 3 paramic is so great because now it can hear ghost interactions from both floors and tell you where it is at. So it helps make your life so much easier in knowing exactly where the ghost is. Now, I'm going to personally kind of recommend you at least wait till level 79 to unlock the tier 3 firelights because they're a pretty good light source to light the way for you as you don't have flashlights. And they also never run out on their own. They have to be blown out, otherwise they'll stay lit forever, which is great for this challenge. Tip number 2, you remember how I said you can actually change some of the settings and still keep that 15 times multiplier? I'm going to recommend that you change hunt duration to medium. Now, my other tip would be to, if you don't want to do that, you can change ghost event chance to medium. That may make it more likely for you to get a ghost event to take a photo, but I think hunt duration set to medium is the biggest lifesaver here. Hunt duration set to high on Sunny Meadows Full means that its hunts are going to last for 60 seconds. If you change it to medium, hunts are going to last for 50 seconds. That is absolutely crucial because every second counts in this challenge, and that can be the difference between life or death. To go along with hunt duration, the next tip is going to be set you up a smudge / a hunt timer. I use Life Split personally. I have a video on how I set mine up exactly. That'll be linked in the description if you want to set it up yourself, so you can just start the timer at the push-up button. But not only just timing smudges, which of course can help figure out a spirit or a demon, but timing the hunts themselves are just absolutely huge, I think, for this challenge. Something I don't think a lot of people do, and it's something I didn't do for a long time, but then it just started making more sense to time because you kind of have more of a safety net to know when you can move items, when you can move forward, when you should wait, things like that. Of course, timing between hunts can help identify demons, but it's going to be more for moving items from one room to the other as you keep increasingly get closer to the ghost. Editing P here, and I'm going to have a bonus tip that somehow I forgot to talk about in this video. So use light switches to check if the ghost is hunting. That goes along with this previous tip, and it's really going to be super helpful. So if you're not sure if a ghost is hunting, flick the light switch. If you can flick it up and down, you will know that the ghost is not hunting. If you cannot flick it up and down, you know that the ghost is hunting. This can help where if you can't hear it with the paramic, you haven't heard a door lock because you're far away from the doors, it'll just help verify, and that's a good way. So therefore, you're not getting caught out, and you know when you have to be more careful. Tip number 4, I'm going to recommend you reset the crucifix and event objectives. So prevent the ghost from hunting with the crucifix or witness a ghost event. If you get one of those, reset. They're not hard themselves to get those objectives, and you may want a ghost event to get the ghost photo, which in turn, if that happens, may burn a crucifix. But let's say that you happen to get a Diogen for this challenge, which of course is everybody's goal because that's going to be pretty easy to survive as long as you don't trap yourself into a corner. Well, let's say you get a Dio, but your objectives are ghost event and crucifix. And let's say that the Dio spawn all the way in the basement in a far back room. It's going to be really hard to get close enough to get a ghost event and prevent the ghost from hunting with the crucifix. Very, very hard. To where if you just had it set to maybe it was blow out a firelight, get a paramic reading, stuff you can do all in basically one hunt, that's going to make your life so much easier. So reset those objectives. Every other objective, I'm fine, should be easy to get. Even blowing blowing out a firelight, EMF interaction, you can get that during the hunt or after the hunt. It shouldn't be a problem. For my tip number 5, I'm going to say that you need to go ahead and bring in all of your items right at the start. And the first 3 items you should bring in are EMF reader and 2 firelights. Then you want to keep on with the EMF with the firelights after that. That's because if you light the firelights, place them on the ground or just throw them on the ground, throw down your EMF reader. If it's blown out, you're going to know one of 2 things. It's either the ghost would possibly be a wraith, banshee, phantom, or the ghost is in the entryway. All of those things are very important to know. If you don't light them up, if you don't turn on your EMF reader, you may not know. So while you're going back and forth, putting items to the front, you're there waiting, seeing, is the ghost going to blow out one of my firelights, roam up here, set off the EMF reader, do something? That's going to be big. Now, if you want like a loadout that I would recommend bringing inside, it would be 1 EMF reader, 4 firelights, 4 smudges, 1 motion sensor, 1 salt, 2 crucifixes, 1 paramic, and 1 photo cam. That's going to be the loadout that I recommend that you take inside. Tip number 6 may seem pretty straightforward, but you may not think about it either, and that's look for orbs on the monitors. Now, the chance of you seeing mimic orbs right away on those monitors are going to be very slim, but it's not 0. And if you can go ahead and get a head start knowing that you're dealing with a mimic, that's going to be huge and help make life a little bit easier. And all you did was take, 30 seconds, 60 seconds extra, just scrolling through those cameras. So not a bad idea to do. Tip number 7, after all of your items are in the entryway, you want to go ahead and listen to the paramic for the hunt to see if you can hear the ghost right away. I would also time the hunt when this happens. So when you hear the door close, start your timer, and you know you have 50 seconds if hunt duration is set to medium. And as it gets kind of later on, you can kind of start moving more inwards towards Sunny Meadows to see, can you hear the ghost anywhere else? And then you know, okay, this ghost is probably going to be far away. Then you just kind of pick an area and take your firelight, take your paramic, take a smudge stick, start walking around, and then wait for the next hunt and just pick a hallway, listen if you hear anything. That's going to let you know the general area where the ghost is. Tip number 8, if you do happen to have a ghost around the front area or around the middle area, hiding in the chapel is one of the best locations there because it is a very lit up room with all the firelights. So it could make it a little bit easier to get the ghost photo. It does have a great little built-in hiding spot next to the piano. So if the ghost is going there, around there, it's a great place to hide, set everything up, and go from there. Tip number 9 is one of the most important ones. It requires patience. This challenge absolutely requires you to be patient. The minute you're like, I just want to keep on going, you'll make a mistake and the ghost will kill you. Think about this. The grace period is set to 0. Ghost speed is at 150%. You have no sprint and your speed is 50%. If you're caught out at all, the ghost is getting you. That's why it requires patience. Moving items is the hardest thing to get down for this challenge. It took me a while to kind of figure out what you want to do, but essentially, if it seems like you're going too slow, you're probably doing it right. Because basically, you want to grab the 3 items, move it on down to the next room, wait for the hunt, gotta wait 50 seconds, then you want to go back, grab your items, maybe wait for the hunt again, depending on the room size, go back. Like, you want to keep waiting for these hunts to be over so the ghost does not catch you out. Now, when you do move items, this is what I'm recommending that you actually move. 4 smudges, your 1 paramic, 2 crucifixes, 4 firelights, and 1 photo cam. Those are items that you need to take further on in. Now, depending on what your objectives are, if you have to have a motion sensor or an EMF reader, take those as well. If you don't have an EMF objective, I kind of recommend just taking a motion sensor to test for a Raiju and just setting it out. So that serves as the electronic. You don't need to take salt. You don't need to take none of that. The reason why you don't need to take that is because, as I mentioned earlier, we're testing to see if the ghost is a stalker right away. And if we find out that it is, that's when we would want to use salt in the entryway and wait for the wraith to teleport to us and then see, okay, is this going to be a wraith? We're going to set the salt down, set the motion sensor down, check that way. We don't need that stuff. We don't need salt to take that further on in later. Not what we need. We're going to test that at the front because by this point, we've already ruled out wraith or phantom or a banshee if it happens to be on the same floor. And we're now going to check for other stuff. So hopefully that makes sense there. My next tip, if you suck at identifying footstep speed at 150%, use the cheat sheet, the unofficial Phasmophobia cheat sheet. It's a great resource. I'll link it in the description as well. But you can actually set the ghost speed to 150% and listen. You can listen to what a normal speed sounds like, to what faster ghost sounds like, what the slower ghost sounds like. You can do all that in the cheat sheet if you're not very familiar with it, and you can compare to what it actually says. My tip for trying to get the ghost photo, well, you remember what I said about timing hunt super important? It helps in getting the ghost photo as well. And let me show you what I mean. So if you're not lucky enough to get a ghost event to get the ghost photo, you're going to have to try to get the ghost photo during the hunt, which is super scary, but here's how I recommend doing it. So again, we're timing our hunts. We know hunts last 50 seconds. When you get to about 35 seconds into the hunt, you want to start trying to activate the ghost to you. Bring the ghost to you. I recommend the order of your items in your inventory be a smudge stick, a photo cam, and then a smudge stick. When you're bringing the ghost to you, make sure that you use your smudge stick as it gets in there and then start taking photos. If the smudge wears off and you haven't got the photo, you can smudge it again. Keep trying to take more photos, and by then the hunt should end. So you have a bit of a safety net by calling it to you towards the end of the hunt. So again, look at the time left during the hunt when we call it over to us and then take the photo. I got about 20 seconds left. I don't know if I want to... Let's try it and see. Come on, ghost. This is gonna be good. Let's go. Let's go. Just make sure that if you do use your radio, there is a bug currently that your push to talk will stay on the whole time. Your mic will stay on, even if you're using push to talk. So make sure you activate your local radio or your local talk as well, and that'll fix that bug. Last thing you want to do is activate your radio, figure out what the ghost is, and then your mic is still on, and it's just a recipe for a bad time. So just keep that in mind when doing that. Getting the ghost photo is one of the hardest things with this challenge, but that calling it towards the end of the hunt will at least make it a little bit safe for you. Of course, you have to kind of be familiar with ghost abilities to be able to identify these ghosts, but overall patience and RNG is what definitely going to help at some point. Just like if you click or tap the screen now, you'll see what we did, getting the gold trophy in less than 2 minutes because we had RNG straight on our side. If you want to see that, click or tap the screen. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you for all the channel members for the extra support and the Twitch subs. I greatly appreciate you all. Happy hunting, everybody, and let's go see how I got it done.